Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and this is James Ramos from At the Quarter Pole. And here's my 2025 Kentucky Derby top contenders, their strengths and their weaknesses, and what I've seen for the last couple of weeks, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to start out with the Fountain of Youth Stakes that was won by Sovereignty, and a horse his strength would be his courage to run down River Thames in the last quarter of a mile. He was 3 lengths off. He showed dogged determination and something you want in a Derby horse, lead them the first Saturday in May. Horse was well beaten. If you look at that replay, River Thames should have won that race and should have won that race convincingly. Horse didn't like that kickback in his face. If you look at the race replay, he was 3.5 lengths off from the finish line and was getting a ton of kickback. The horse's head kept on coming up and down. Jockey Alvarado did a superfluous job by getting him onto the outside and not having that kickback on the outside. He swung him out wide, so Sovereignty would not get that kickback. So that was 50% A-plus ride from Junior Alvarado, and the rest was up to Sovereignty. That horse just did a magnificent job to run down River Thames. That should never happen at the short stretch at Gulfstream Park. He had a 3-length advantage coming around for home. That's River Thames, and Sovereignty still nailed him at the wire. His weaknesses is that he doesn't like kickback. A lot of young horses do not like kickback, but that might be a problem in the 20-horse field, that he might not enjoy that kickback, especially if that track comes out muddy or wet, and it's even worse than just regular kickback on a fast track. So that is his weakness right there. Next contender to look at is Beaumont Square, and Beaumont Square did not like this look like the same horse that won the Holy Bull in the Fountain of Youth. He didn't have too much of a quick fractional time. He made the first run before Sovereignty, and he did not push through. Why? I'm not sure. It wasn't such a hot pace, or it was a mediocre pace. It wasn't fast, it wasn't slow. But there's something that maybe Burnham Square might need a little bit more seasoning. Now, it's a mile and a quarter for the Kentucky Derby. Burnham Square has that nice run down stretch. He has a nice kick, especially the fractional time is good if he's got a fast time. But you got to remember, in the Holy Bull Stakes, he ran against Ferociousness and Guns Loaded, and those two horses did not want anything to do with a route race. So that might be a hindrance. That's his weakness, that he might run down speed horses that do not want to go a route of distance. But come Kentucky Derby Day, you're going to get the best of the best, the 20 horses out there that really that have a chance to get the mile and one quarter, at least will be more begrudging to give way to Burnham Square, even if it doesn't have a late kick. Now on to the Gotham Stakes and Flood Zone. Flood Zone, his strength that he came out, he's a good breaker. I looked at that race. He broke well. He settled down, didn't need the lead, which is amazing. He was able to settle down. You can't teach horses really to do that. Even a good rider sometimes will have a hard time to get a horse to slow down. They want to be on the bit. They're really pushing for it, especially young 3-year-old. He settled beautifully and had enough reserve to win it at the mile of Gotham. Now, his weaknesses is how good the field was, and I would say it was pretty weak. He's going to run against the best 3-year-olds come Derby Day, whoever accrues the most points. And the Gotham Stakes in the last 10 to 15 years have not produced any good horses to go into the Kentucky Derby and perform well. He's going to be a good overlay. He's a good breaker, but how inferior was that field is going to be his weakness. On to the next race was the San Felipe. And we could start with Barnes. Barnes, the horse I predicted that looked like he was on upset alert, and that's exactly what happened. He won a nice San Vicente, 7/8 a mile. They stretched him out, Mount 160 San Felipe. He had it his own way. Rodriguez, that was supposed to force the tempo, did not really force him. He had an easy 1-length lead. We look at the interior fractions, 23-2, 47-1. My goodness, this is a mile and 1/16th race. This is not even the San Anita Derby that's run at a mile and 1/8. And he got caught with a figure of 108 speed figure. He got caught. Now that's his weakness. His strength is going to be that he's trained by Bob Baffert. And Bob Baffert shows up in the first Saturday May. He knows how to crank him up a lot better than this is. As I said, it's just a preview before the big race. He might be better suited at the mile and quarter. Baffert knows his way around Churchill Downs. He's been there for many years, almost 30 years now. So that's his strength, is his connection to Bob Baffert. And maybe this 108 it was not a fluke, and maybe his figures would be better going into Churchill. Now, here's one thing though, back on his weakness again, that always in Santa Anita, the Derby or race before that, the Firefig numbers always overinflated only because of the way the track runs. It's kind of speed. It's normally hard rock. That day at the San Felipe had some moisture in it, not a lot, but some moisture. But that doesn't negate that he had 108 and still lost to journalism. On to journalism now. Quite opposite. Busted 108. He's a son out of Curlin. That means this horse is only get better as he gets older. So he's not going to get worried of the taxing Triple Crown races. The Derby is not going to bother him being out of son of out of Curlin. The Preakness is better. As Curlin's horses develop later in the year, they show marked improvement. They don't get haggard down and wasted down like other sires do. That is his strength. Now, his weakness is that he also ran a top figure in the San Felipe Stakes, and he nailed Barnes. But was he going to regress into the next race or into the Derby? I don't know to know that yet. But there's always a constant, and when you have such a high speed figure, you're only going to bounce. Hopefully, he doesn't bounce in the first Saturday. He may. I like this horse. He's going to be in the exactas or the trifectas. You got to use journalism. Now on to the Tampa Bay Derby, which will be run Saturday. And it's I've seen the field. My early pick would be Chancellor McPatrick. It's just a prep race. I'm not seeing him to win the race, but he needs to have the good showing. Chad Brown is adding the blinkers on his horse. I've always stated myself, when I handicap, I don't like handicapping horses that have blinkers on when their natural style is to come off the pace. It only sharpens them too much. I think Chad is only using this as something to work on for something. If he has to wear the blinkers off before the Derby or it will take them off, but it's to sharpen the speed. That's what we know. That's for a fact. My question is, why sharpen the speed into Tampa Bay Derby? I know this is something they want to do right before they get to the big race for Kentucky. They don't need to put blinkers on this horse. There's going to be enough speed with horse running this, with Owen Almighty, Patch Adams in this race, Frivoloso's in this race. So there'll be enough speed to come off of it without the use of blinkers. He is donning on the blinkers to keep him up close for the first quarter mile around the clubhouse turn. My thing is, I don't want him. I want that thing to be counterproductive, though. Horses that normally have a natural gate closers like to have the outside looking out, both sides, not keeping their nose and their eyes pointed just at the leader or off a stalking position. Now, if you look at the races, Chancellor McPatrick ran on the Hopeful and the Champagne Six. This horse has no indication of being a stalker. This horse is stone cold closer, a la Sierra Leone. Now I know what they're doing. If they have to wear the blinkers on Derby Day, they want him to be close enough where he's not so far back where he has to make such a ride, and they have to make such a long haul. It's been done. It's been done by Ferdinand. It's been done by Giacomo. It's been done by Mind That Bird. So I don't think it's the worst thing going at a mile and 1/4. But they want him to keep him close to the speed. Why? Maybe it's just to me it is a tryout training effort to look at to be mid pack for the Derby, not to be that far back. That's the reason why they're done on the blinkers. This horse has the class of the class, and that is my pick for the Tampa Bay Derby. His weakness, though, if this horse is too sharp coming in the first quarter, I believe he is. I think as they come around, they're going to run 23 and 446 and 447. He's going to be too tight. I think the jockey's going to have a stranglehold at about the halfway point and kind of lose his punch. I know this is just the horse I do like for this race, but beware of the tactics on this horse donning on the blinkers. And that's all I have right now. That's my analysis of my Kentucky Derby contenders, also who I like in the Tampa Bay Derby. And this is James Ramos from At the Quarter Pole, where winning and history run neck and neck. Have a good morning, ladies and gentlemen.